Welcome back, everybody. We're here to pull cards for July the 13th. I am going to be pulling one card for overall energy, and then I'm going to be pulling one card for each sign, and we'll see how the overall energy is interacting with the energy of the signs. So let's see what comes out, shall we? La da da da. We have a lot going on in the energy because I wasn't done shuffling for a while there. What do we have? Eight of batons. So that would be typical like an Eight of Wands or an Eight of Clubs in another deck. And so this just basically talks to me about a whole lot of communication. In fact, maybe even so much communication that you really have to stay on your toes to keep up with everything that's going on and changes that may be being made, that type of thing. But a lot of communication is coming in fast and furious. Not necessarily furious. Fast. Let's just say communication is coming in quickly and lots of it. How about we say that? All right, let's see here. Let's start with our signs. Let's see what's going on. What are we all talking about today? Okay, so look at this. Three of Swords showing up in reverse for those of you with Aries placements. And this just means that what's going on with you guys is that there's some communication going on today that is allowing for some healing of some kind of heartache or heartbreak. We like that kind of healing. Good for you, Aries. Taurus, communication. Okay, so this is interesting. We've got the Eight of Coins showing up in reverse. Basically, what this would mean is that there's a lot of communication going in about taking some time off work or not getting some work accomplished, one or the other. So lots of communication, maybe you're even making plans with somebody else about taking some time off work, or there's some type of communication. There could be communication coming in about the idea of unemployment, vacation, leave, anything like that as well. Okay, and then we're going to look at Gemini. La Maison Dieu. Okay, so we have the Tower showing up in reverse, very similar to the Three of Swords in reverse. Tower in reverse talks about a recovery from something that had happened in the past that really kind of maybe knocked you off your feet or caught your breath a little bit. So recovery from some type of situation that was making you feel secure that suddenly and unexpectedly was removed from your experience. So the talk now is about the recovery from that situation. Lots of talk going on about, what do we do now? How do we feel that sense of security with something else that's actually going to bring us a stronger sense of security than what we already had. So I really like this. This can talk about, rebuilding after there's been some kind of um, disaster, or, replacing a phone that got broken or, but this is talk about, okay, what are we going to do to bring things back up to snuff in a good way and actually make them be able to withstand whatever happened before. So lots of communication happening on that. We like that. Next up, Cancer. Cancer. Okay, communication about home. Four of Wands. So lots of communication about home. Potentially also maybe real estate investments could be indicated by this as well. Also family could be indicated by this as well. So lots of communication coming up about home and family, or homes in general and families in general. All right, so that was who? Was that Cancer? Huh. And that's funny because Cancer's all about home anyway. All right, so Cancers. This could also actually be for Cancers. You guys also could actually have something coming up about celebrations too, because this can be family get-togethers or tribal get-togethers. And aren't we in right smack dab in the middle of Cancer season? So maybe talk about a birthday party, potentially, or some other kind of celebration. Okay, so here we're looking at Leo. Leos, you got your own card. You got the Sun. Le Soleil. Soleil. I'm not sure how to say that. I'm actually not even sure if this is Italian or if this is French or what this language is. If anybody out there knows and you want to put it in the comments, you would be doing me a great favor. I should look it up, but I haven't yet, which means I probably won't. Okay, so anyway, Eight of Wands coming up with the Sun. So Leo, here's the thing. There is truth around you today. And there's a lot of talk about the truth today. And it's interesting how it comes up. I don't feel like this is anybody who is twisting the truth or, when there's talk about something, it can kind of go sideways sometimes. But the way this Eight of Wands comes in, I just feel like there is talk about the truth. So there's word is being spread about the truth today. And I think that that's a part of what is influencing your life today. I'm not so sure that it's necessarily, that people are talking about your truth. This feels much more general to me, but it feels like knowing the truth is very beneficial. So I think probably there's not only talk about the truth itself, but also talk about, okay, well, now since we know the truth, what do we want to do with that truth? Okay. So that's for Leo. Next up, we're looking at Virgo. Virgo. Watch, there's going to be some kind of international meeting today, and that's why we have so much talk. Maybe one. How much you want to bet? All right, so Virgo, let's get back on track. Six of Coins showing up here for you guys. With the Eight of Wands and the overall. This just talks about the idea of things being evened out, things being made right. There may be somebody who borrowed something from you and they need to bring it back, or they're bringing it back, or maybe you loan somebody some money and there's talk about paying that money back. So it's interesting how this comes up because Six of Coins by itself does talk about somebody making things right with us. For me in reverse, it means we're paying off or paying back somebody else. Right side up, somebody's paying us what they owe us. We're bringing back something that they've borrowed from us, something along those lines. It's a nice reciprocal situation where everything's being evened out. Now here's the thing with this Eight of Wands coming up on the overall energy. This means that there's a lot of talk about how things can be evened out. So there's a lot of talk about how that person that borrowed the onion is going to be repaying you. So this is talk. Okay, with the batons showing up here, this is talk. So I don't necessarily see you getting paid back today. I see maybe somebody making some kind of negotiations with you about we can pay this much over time, or, we can bring you half an onion now and half an onion next week. It's a silly example, but I do think that there's some kind of talk about the idea of somebody paying you back what they owe you. Okay, or about how can we make things more reciprocal. With this Eight of Wands, this is a lot of talk. This can be short messages going back and forth. This can even be text messages. This doesn't have to be verbal messages or even emails, but probably short. With the Eight of Wands, usually it's short communications that are coming in quickly, quickly, quickly. All right, so let's see. Who was that? Virgo? Of course, Earth energy for Virgo. Let's see, Libra. Another batons card. Oh, let's see. All right, so you guys have the Seven of Batons showing up here with the Eight of Batons on overall energy, seven in reverse though. So Seven of Batons in reverse just talks about this idea of letting down your guard, letting down the barriers, sort of even coming into a little bit of a more vulnerable situation than you've been allowing because you have had boundaries and barriers up. With the Eight of Batons, this talks about this idea of letting down, you're communicating with somebody else about the idea of letting down boundaries, of letting down barriers, there's communication about this idea. This is still at communication level with the Eight of Wands. We don't see it actually happening just yet, but we're talking about it. We're open to at least talk about it. All right, so who is that? That's Libra. Next up, let's look at Scorpio. Scorpio. La Lune. Okay, interesting. A lot of talk about secrets. A lot of talk about the secret things, the unknown things. I think it's kind of intriguing that we have this implication of the Madonna and Child in the Moon, the secret thing about, well, how did she get pregnant? She hasn't been with a man. There's secrets in the moon and secrets in our subconscious. The crab coming up out of the water indicates our subconscious. I think there's also some type of collaboration that's going on in secret. So communication about things that are not widely known, things that are not shared with everybody today. Okay, so some type of communication back and forth about secrets. All right. Ba-da-da-da. I don't see the secrets being spilled. I see whatever this communication is, it remains a secret. Next up, let's look at Sagittarius. You know what? Let's go back to this. I have to go back to this because I just can't get away from it. And one of the things I teach my students, because it's true, is when you have a message floating around and you don't let go of it, then it blocks you up from getting other messages. So let me just put this out there. I've been trying to be like not too politically oriented on my daily videos lately because I know not everybody's in the same space as me, but I really get a strong message that this has to do with talking about secrets. So with this Eight of Wands, we could have some type of worldwide meeting or, meeting of big influencers in the world. Secrets could be things that are top secret, that are classified, that, are not shared with the world at a government level. I'm ex-military and I know that, there are certain things that you don't say because you don't want anybody who could potentially harm you with that information to know it. So, let's see. Biden is sun sign Scorpio. Putin's rising is Scorpio, actually. So there's, with the Eight of Wands, with talk about secrets, I think that there's some classified information being discussed. With all of this talk, I do think there's talk between world leaders. So this may be stuff being discussed around the whole Ukraine thing pretty easily. Doesn't have to be, but I do think there's something going on that's classified or top secret or whatever being discussed. And maybe even on Putin's end of the spectrum too. Putin could be having some secrets he's talking about with people that he's not letting the rest of the world know about just yet either. Okay, so let's move on, shall we? Sagittarius, 9 de Cups. Coupes? I don't know. 9 of Cups. Let's just say it in American because I know what I'm saying then. So 9 of Cups coming up for Sagittarius. This really talks about this idea of, with the Eight of Wands showing up here, talks about the idea of communication about what is it going to take to bring satisfaction? What is it going to take to bring happiness with this situation? 9 of Cups talks about wishes fulfilled, talks about dreams coming true. According to some people, talks about finding some emotional sense of satisfaction. So a lot of communication for you Sagittarians today about what would it take for you to be satisfied. And for some of you Sagittarians, this is going to be strictly an internal dialogue of, what is it going to take for me to be satisfied? Whether you're considering a partnership or what you want to accomplish in your life or whatever, you're definitely looking at what it's going to take for you to be satisfied for those of you who are doing internal communication. But for those of you who are doing the external communication, this kind of feels like a negotiation. Okay, what are you going to be satisfied with? Okay, well, this is what I'm going to be satisfied with. How do we make everybody happy in our situation? Okay, next up, let's look at Capricorn. Capricorn is the 8 of Cups. All right. A lot of talk about walking away, walking away, walking away. 8 of Cups talks about this idea of not, of putting a lot of energy and effort into something, but not getting the return out of it that actually gives you energy to keep going forward. And so with that situation, with the 8 of Cups, we're walking away from that situation in hopes of finding a situation that, will be more reciprocal, where we're not the only one putting energy and effort into that. Next up, we're going to look at Aquarius. Aquarius, 8 of batons, lots of communication with the 5 of batons. This is very competitive type of communication. This can be a little snarky, sarcastic. We can be cutting people down or pointing out their flaws. With the 5 of batons, it just talks about really communication. And also, it can talk about ideas sort of being all over the place. This is also my brainstorming card, actually. So there could be some creative brainstorming going on, and communication about that brainstorming, communication about ideas. And that's Aquarius. Next up, let's look at Pisces. Okay, so Pisces with the 8 of Wands and the Temperance card showing up here. What do we have? What do we have? Talk about balance, 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 balance. Lots of talk about bringing things into balance. So this is talk about, how do you pay something off and bring it back into balance in your checkbook? How do you bring balance into your life as far as timing? How do you have me time, family time, making money time? Um, this can be balance in terms of sobriety. Just getting yourself into balance mentally and emotionally. There can be some talk, maybe not even necessarily about you, but of somebody else, but some talk about some type of balance coming in. There may even be, I've seen balance come up around the idea of hormones as well, both with young people like preteen, teenagers, and even coming up with women that are going through the change, or men who are going through midlife. Sometimes those hormones can really throw us for a loop. So this can talk about, maybe you're talking to a doctor about how do you bring hormones into balance so that things are not as stressful on your body and manifesting in your life. But definitely a lot of communication about bringing things into balance. This can be communication even with somebody about filing bankruptcy, if we're talking about a bank account. Um, there's a lot of different ways that this can manifest. I'm not going to keep giving examples. Everybody is going to be different in your lives anyway, so I couldn't give all the examples that there are. But definitely a lot of communication today talking about bringing balance into a situation, bringing moderation, bringing temperance. Okay, so that's what I've got for today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody have a fantastic day. Peace out.